Hey everybody, what's up? And welcome back. This is our very last video of the year. This is week number 12 of our distance learning experiment. Wow, we made it. This is a really big milestone for us. Of course, if we were back in room 159, we would probably high-five each other, probably have a donut party, maybe a brunch, and it would be really cool. But this is what we've got. So this video is going to be unlike some of the other videos that we've posted because there's only one assignment this week and it's your final project. So I urge you to go to the website, check out the instructions for that final project, and of course if you have any questions or concerns, reach out and let me know. When you're finished with your project, you can post it to the group chat or you can share it with me directly if you don't want to share that with the rest of the class, and that's okay too. You have one other responsibility that I'd like you to complete, and that is to complete the course evaluation. This is a survey. It is anonymous unless you would like to identify yourself in the comments, which you're welcome to do that if you want. And I give students this survey so that over the summer, when I'm making changes to the course for next year, I can look at student feedback to inform what sort of changes are made and why. So, 2 items for this week. Number 1, the final project, which is listed online. Number 2, the course evaluation survey. Please complete that. Okay, so part 2, the send-off. Like I said, if we were back in room 159, we'd probably have some kind of a party, a celebration. This is a really challenging course, and we've reached the end of our journey. You all have chosen to take a more challenging course. That choice alone, I think, speaks volumes about your passion, your interest in learning more about the world, and also learning more about yourself. I know that me personally, as a student in a lot of different classes, the classes that I found the most valuable were the ones where we learned so much about the content, but in the process of learning about that content, I learned an awful lot about myself as a student, but also as a person, as an actor in the world. My goal as the teacher of this class is to pair challenging works of literature with different types of perspectives, philosophies. We can think of them as lenses through which we can see the world. We spent a lot of time this year thinking about those lenses from a feminist perspective in The Handmaid's Tale, thinking about the role of dreams, and even trying to achieve those dreams when we know that they're not possible. And maybe there's something about that quest that makes us great, like we learned in The Great Gatsby. We learned a lot about American transcendentalism and how that shows up even today in stories like Into the Wild. We learned about existentialism, how it borrows from previous traditions, and how it allows us to find freedom in our own choices, even if those choices are really small. We learned about seeing texts and seeing real-life moments as contact zones, places where groups of people get together and clash, grapple with each other with asymmetrical relations of power. We learned a lot about modes of representation, about comparing historically marginalized people and the representations of them to later representations where marginalized groups of people are able to tell their own stories in conversation with those previous representations. And then finally, in our film unit, our most recent unit, we had the chance to think about remaking older stories in ways that seem more historically accurate or precise than the stories that occurred in those earlier time periods. And to show us an example of that, we looked at a film from the 1950s, a family melodrama, and then a remake of that melodrama from the early 2000s. We've covered so much ground here that just over the span of about 8 or 9 months, you've gone from writing fairly simple 5-paragraph essays to writing essays as complex as the Contact Zone essay. We went from having fairly simple conversations to having very in-depth conversations. And now, at the end of the school year, we find ourselves in a position where there are a lot of events happening in our community. We turn on the news and we see anti-racist activists taking to the streets, trying to fight for a better world. And when we see what we're seeing on television and we try to interpret it, we can interpret it in so many different ways through the perspectives that we have learned about all year long. I think that is exciting. And I urge you to take what we have learned inside of our classroom and use it outside of the classroom as you also advocate for a more just, fair, and peaceful world. In the most sincere way that I can, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your attention this year. It has been an absolute pleasure and an absolute honor working with you these past several months. And I really look forward to seeing you again in person. Yeah, so have a great summer. We'll see each other again at some point, and I look forward to when that happens. So be good to yourself, be good to everybody else, and we'll catch you later on down the road. Bye.